Okay, Friday night beer number 2 for me. Just coming off the back of a barrel-aged 24-hour boiled, first beer I've ever had that's been boiled for 24 hours from Porterhouse, a lovely Russian Imperial Stout, barrel-aged. You know, I don't know, anything else after that's going to be a bit of a come down. So the next beer that I chose was from a brewery that I think can probably stand shoulder to shoulder with that kind of a beer. Larkin's Brewery, up next. Catalyst. Is it called Catalyst? No. Rwandan Coffee Rye IPA, up next. Hey, welcome back to Views and Brews. I am Brendan. It's Friday night, and this beer here is Larkin's and Catalyst Rwandan Coffee Rye IPA. It is 7%. Larkin's Brewery are one of those breweries that just hit the ground running. They just came out of nowhere and the last couple of years, and they've just been smashing it, beer after beer after beer. But what I want to say is, if you're in County Wicklow, or if you're in Wexford or Wicklow or anywhere down that east coast, there are so many breweries in Ireland that are knocking out some crazy good beers. Larkin's would be one of them. This is an India Pale Ale with Rwandan coffee. I'm guessing Catalyst is going to be the guys they've teamed up with. Let's have a look on the back of it anyway. Okay, 7%, which I'm glad to hear. I'll tell you why in a minute. Independent Irish brewery. For this 2020 edition of Coffee in the Rye. Does it say Coffee in the Rye? That's strange. Okay. Yeah, for this 2020 edition of Coffee in the Rye, we've teamed up with local coffee crew Catalyst. Moving down from Ethiopia, this variety of red bourbon comes all the way from Rwanda. Red bourbon. Again, cold brewed to maximize the flavor from the coffee without extracting bitterness and color. Cold brewing is a really cool process where you just, you don't put in hot water, so therefore you don't extract bitterness. You just let it sit in cold water overnight, and then you just take it out. What else does it say? This beer offers all the stone fruit goodness from 3 of the best hops, but combines with notes of strawberry, plum, and chocolate from the coffee. Okay, the coffee, as I understand it, is red bourbon. Variety, this, moving down from Ethiopia, I don't understand what that means. This variety of red bourbon comes all the way from Rwanda. Okay, all right, that's cool. Anyway, the coffee is obviously meant to taste like strawberry, plum, and chocolate. Enjoy. It has Citra, Cascade, and Mosaic hops in it, so we've got a lot of things to contend with. It's an IPA. Okay, it's 7%. It's got coffee in it. It's got 3 of the big hitting hops in it. Cascade, we're going to get from Cascade, you're going to get some pineapple, some pine, some floral, some citrus, some bit of that kind of sort of profile. From Mosaic, you're going to get a bit of berry and much of the same, but you're also going to get tropical fruits. And from Citra, you're going to get a lot of citrus and tropical fruits to back it up. So pine, citrus, floral, that kind of stuff, mixed with strawberry, plum, and chocolate in an IPA. That's a lot to contend with. Anyway, let's have a look at this beer. Let's crack it open. This beer, I'll be totally honest, did not go in the fridge, and I am going to bear that in mind. I was expecting it to be darker. I have no idea why. I'm going to bear that in mind, but it was in a cool area, and that for me is fine. There is a light haze to it, a medium high carbonation, considering it's 7%. If it was a thinner beer with lower percentage, carbonation would be much higher. There's a decent half a finger head of foam, which I reckon if I poured it more, I'd probably get 2 fingers if I poured the whole thing out, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to. I want to smell it first. We've got a bit of a tinge of amber, but really it's sort of that kind of twangy antique gold type colour going on. Yeah, sort of wine gum between gold or yellow and orange wine gum sort of colour. There's a bit of lacing going on around the sides. It's 7%. That's why. Let's have a look and see what the aromas are on it. Huge amount of hops. Straight away I'm getting berries. Berries, citrus. There's a very like in your face, like there's a very sort of in your face definite hop aroma to this beer. I'm not sure if it's anything to do with the coffee, but I think I'm getting coffee. I think I'm getting lots of coffee, and it's sort of melding with the hops, which is really, really strange. Yeah, normally you associate coffee going in a darker beer. When I poured this beer, my mind said I'm going to pour a dark beer, and I saw a light enough beer come out. That's kind of a bit trippy in one sense. So you're kind of like verging on white stout, but not really. It's an IPA. Citrus fruit. I'm getting floral. I'm getting loads. Actually, I'm getting so much berry character out of this. It did say strawberries, didn't it? It says strawberry, plum, and chocolate. It must be the coffee. I don't know. I should have looked up. I should have looked up that specific coffee bean they've used. I think it's called red bourbon. This variety of red bourbon comes all the way from Rwanda. Again, cold brew to maximize flavour from the coffee without extracting bitterness and colour. Yeah. There's a really nice, really, really interesting fruity flavour coming off of this. Oh, that's very interesting. I thought that would be kind of like a weird idea of where coffee meets hops and the two of them have a bit of a standoff. But no, it's kind of like the coffee and the hops are just sort of cozying up to each other. It's pretty cool. I like that. Strawberry, plum, and chocolate. Okay, I'm digging in. Very nice aroma, not your average hoppy IPA aroma. I feel I'm going to get some bitterness from the hops, and I feel like I'm going to get like a coffee sharpness, but I'll wait and see. Yeah, definitely coffee. I've sucked up all of the hop aroma and I'm now getting a lot of coffee. There's a lot of coffee on this. Anyway, cheers, Slancha. Ooh. That is strange. Okay, it's rye IPA as well. So in a rye IPA, I expect a bit of spice to be going on in there. I think this beer is going to grow on me. Again, the second time, when I poured it, I wasn't expecting a light colour beer because it's got coffee beans in it. I don't know why. It's a rye IPA. I should be expecting an IPA colour. But I'm also tasting something that I didn't expect as well. there's like a really, I think that's bourbon. No, I think I don't know how they've made the coffee beans taste like that. I don't know if they're flavored coffee beans or that's just how they grow. I'm going to have to look that up. That's really, really confusing, but in a nice way. Some beers that have coffee in have this. I've made a couple of stouts with coffee beans in, and my God, were they overpowering. After 2 or 3 sips, it's like having 20 espresso coffees in your mouth, and that's all you get. Whereas this is kind of taking the best elements of coffee, giving you that mellowness, but also giving you that fruitiness, but also giving you like a warming sort of flavour from the actual bean as well, which I like a lot. And then it's all soaked up by a nice percentage of beer, 7%. I like that, because that can hold those flavours. I think if that's I've said this a couple of times in my videos, I think if you don't get the percentage right, you can really easily destroy the beer by it not being able to take on board what you're trying to carry along with it. And in this case, that's coffee and some really strong hops. You might carry along the hops, but I don't know how well you do with the rye in there or the coffee. And what they've managed to do is get the percentage right. 7%, I think, is bang on. It needed to be slightly more than 6% because it's kind of robust flavors that, coffee needs to not dominate a beer. The beer needs to be able to fight its own corner. And in that, nothing's fighting each other. So I kind of like this beer for that. I really do. Larkins are just, I don't know, I think their head brewer must be pretty switched on. I mean, they must be intuitive there, or they brew like a pilot batch and then they say, okay, we'll upscale it, but that's too much of this or too little of that, change this, change that, and go for it. Don't know how they do it, but we've managed to make this like an odd beer. It's an odd beer. It says strawberry, plum, and chocolate. You get some funky, weird kind of vibe to it that plum is planted in my mind, so I don't want to say that I'm getting plum, but I get chocolate. There's kind of like Citra hops nearly explode when you have them in a proper IPA. So does Cascade, so does Mosaic. But here, they're kind of told to just calm down a little bit. And they're doing that just nicely. They're still really vibrant, but they're not taking over the beer. Coffee has a lot to say in it. The rice spice seems to sort of complement the coffee, and the percentage of the beer matches all of that. And the style of beer is just perfect. This is another absolute cracking beer from Larkins. Like, how do they keep knocking these out of the park? They've just, you get that really nice, like, I love flavors when they're not, something like, sometimes I love flavors when they're really bold and over the top, but also I love it when a beer shows me that it's cleverly made. It doesn't need to be, not like a pumpkin beer where you're just eating spices, basically. The opposite end of that, where you're having to figure out a beer, but all the things that the beer tries to be, they add up in the end. Especially over the course, keep drinking it, and it keeps building up. Like I'm not going to disagree with strawberry, plum, or chocolate at all. Like, you might get it in a different way, but yeah, why not? Do not think in any way when you buy this beer that it's going to be an IPA with coffee in it. This is a beer that demands you to think about it as you're drinking it, which is really cool. But again, it's like it's best before May 21. We're November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, it's got half a year on it. I don't know what else to say about that beer. It's just lovely. It really is. If I missed anything, barley, wheat, there's a bit of wheat in it. Hops, water, yeast, rye, coffee. Very cool. Very, very cool beer, that is. Now, I just, as I said before, I just come off the back of Around the Clock from Porterhouse, collaborating with Dingle Distillery. You know, I needed a beer that I thought I might be able to trust in. I trust in the name Larkins, and they just don't let you down. Here's another one, absolutely on top of their game. And there's a glass from White Hag, who are also on top of their game. And I'm waffling now because I'm a little bit tipsy. Anyway, cheers, Slancher. That's my view on this brew. I think it's on to the next one. Or maybe I'll have a little bit of a break. Cheers. And then